So there's $1 million saying that as the night grows older, the more chaos that you happen to see. And as we dive deeper into the week one slate for your college football Saturday, that could certainly be applied once we get into the 8 o'clock games, starting with the Rice Owls making the road trip down to the Bayou in order to take on the Raging Cajuns of Louisiana. Your runners up of the Sun Belt last year after they fell just short of winning the Sun Belt, but did come out as West Divisional title champions. And these are certainly two programs that are in different spots right now in terms of where they stand in the general G5 pecking order. Rice, for example, they're trying to work themselves back on the way up as they enter the brand new college football season with a brand new head coach. Scott Abel has been hired to try to turn this program around, and he's bringing his unique style of gun choice offense that really blends a lot of those traditional option principles with some contemporary spread spacing. I think it's going to be one of the more fascinating offensive systems to watch, and there's always been at least one offensive system every year that tends to really catch the eyes of the college football world. Last year, we saw that with the go-go offense ran by UNLV and their offensive coordinator, who's now the head coach at Sacramento State. Fun fact, to go on a little bit of a side tangent, is this year's, version of is this year's go-go offense going to be that gun choice offense ran by Scott Abel, in terms of bringing those traditional option principles, but still spraying the ball out every once in a while just to keep the defense guessing every single time. So, needless to say, it's going to be fascinating to see how the Owls implement this offense, but generally throughout the course of the year, and particularly with this game in particular, you're going to look to see Rice try to control the clock, win that time of possession, and then attack through really a mobile and adaptable offensive line with some really a lot of utilization, kind of like five tool players, right? They do bring back the returning running back Quentin Jackson, who I believe really does have a chance to break out under Abel's offensive philosophy. Because one thing that I will say about the triple option is that you can't keep your eyes on just one player. You have to really be disciplined with your eyes and with your assignments. And so with Quentin Jackson being in this system now, who had a solid year last season, nothing too crazy, I don't believe. Has a lot of talent though, from what I've been hearing from the Rice faithful, is that they may only have like one or two set of eyes on Quentin Jackson at all times instead of having that entire defense on you for certain run calls. So I think Quentin Jackson really could have a breakout year, but I don't know if the breakout certainly happens going up against this Louisiana team, because this Louisiana team, on the other hand, we talked about it a little bit earlier, but they are certainly humming right now as they're led by fourth-year head coach Michael Desaruk, who, like we said, led them to a 10-4 record last year. West Division title, did lose to Marshall in the Sun Belt Championship game last fall. But while Rice is still trying to figure out what its long-term identity is going to be, or if Scott Abel is in fact the right person for the job, Louisiana is kind of on the opposite spectrum when it comes to that G5 pecking order, right? Because right now, we know that this team is probably going to be in the hunt once again to try to win the Sun Belt. As a matter of fact, according to the Sun Belt coaches poll, they were actually picked to repeat as West Division champions to have an opportunity to compete for the Sun Belt title. And when you look up and down this roster, I'm certainly not surprised. You're coming out with multiple all Sun Belt honorees, including the defensive lineman Jordan Lawson and the defensive back Tyree Skipper. But then even on the opposite side of the ball, which may not be as good as what this defense is supposed to be, you even have a really dynamic backfield duo in Zylan Perry and Bill Davis, who's going to split carries for you this year, but both of them can really hurt you at any given time. So Rice among with any other team that plays against Louisiana this year, is going to have some fits stopping that ground game for the Raging Cajuns. Now, one thing that I will say to try to echo the words of the great Josh Pate, and specifically Josh Pate's Meemaw, is that I will say don't play with food. Because we saw it in week 0. We saw a UNLV team that was heavily favored. We're talking about a 30-plus point favorite, according to FanDuel, right before the noon kickoff game for Kansas State and Iowa State. They almost lost to Idaho State, and they were actually trailing them in the fourth quarter. So anything could happen on any given Saturday. But let's go ahead and take a look at how things have been historically, and then we'll take a look at, really what the model is thinking here at College Football Red Zone. So obviously, this matchup is going to pit that ball control option offense with some of those spread philosophies mixed in there to try and have a disciplined tempo, control the clock, win the time of possession. They're going to go up against the Louisiana Raging Cajuns. They have defensive continuity, and they have a proven spread system and spread offense that they run up there as well, with that ability to run the damn ball and run it down your throats when they need to. Now, these two teams historically, though, it's been relatively even. They've played 5 times. Louisiana has won the tiebreaker because they played back in 2022 when they made the field trip down to Houston, Texas, back in that 2022 season, winning 33-21. So because of that last game that did happen in the series, the Raging Cajuns do have a 3-2 series lead, but now can Rice play as a little bit of a spoiler in that return trip down to the Bayou, going to our Lords and Ladies Stadium, and handle that business and maybe pull off a big upset off. Now, do I think that's going to happen? I honestly, I think it's going to be somewhat, I don't know, one-sided. But what I do expect to see in this one is I do expect to see Louisiana really assert themselves from a physicality standpoint from the start. They have the home field advantage. They have more of that established experience on the game day roster. And while I think Rice will, they'll keep it close, like initially. They'll have some longer, more methodical drives, and maybe even the occasional explosive play because of the fact that the triple option is probably going to create a couple of miscues on the defensive side of the ball. I do think that it's going to be somewhat challenging for Rice to be able to score on a consistent basis in terms of going up against what really should be a stout defense that the Raging Cajuns should have on the other side, which checking with both FanDuel and with our internal models that we have here at College Football Red Zone, that is why the Raging Cajuns are heavily favored. Now, Red Zone has them, our model has them slightly more favored than what FanDuel says. The Raging Cajuns are listed as a 13.5 point favorite on FanDuel, whereas we are a point higher, so we're saying that Louisiana should cover, but we don't have a ton of confidence in that. But I feel pretty good. I do think that the offensive scheme under Scott Abel will at least allow Rice to somewhat limit possessions. And the biggest advantage of that is that the less possessions you have in the game, the more variance in outcome that you have. So there is a pathway for Rice to pull that upset off, even if they don't necessarily always have drives that result in points. If they can consistently have methodical drives, even if they don't end in any points, keep the ball out of the hands of this Louisiana offense, I think you do have a recipe for success there to be able to pull this upset off. However, on the other hand, you're looking at this Louisiana team. I think they're going to have a distinct advantage in the trenches across the board. So not only pitting Louisiana's offense against the Rice defensive line, but if you really flip that, I think Louisiana has the advantage in there as well. So while I don't think I'm going to go so far as to say that Louisiana's going to cover, because I do think Rice will at least somewhat be able to limit possessions, I do think Louisiana should still win somewhat comfortably. So I'll give Rice a little bit of benefit of the doubt, because I think that gun choice offense, just because it really hasn't been seen by many coaches, there probably isn't going to be a lot of clear-cut ways to stop it yet. So because of that, I think there's some fits that are provided early on, but as this game drags on into the second half, I expect Louisiana particularly to be able to lean on that offensive line and really be able to go forth and create additional problems for Rice on both sides of the ball. So I think Louisiana wins 28-17. I think that's going to be the final score. We'll say that Louisiana wins the game, but I would not be surprised if the Rice Owls at least cover and make this maybe a tad bit more of a game than maybe what's originally expected to be according to the betting markets.